Foot and mouth disease is currently affecting livestock in South Africa, with recent outbreaks reported in several provinces, particularly in the Free State and KwaZulu-Natal provinces. Minister Steenhuisen says while the Agricultural Research Council is in the final stages of developing a vaccine in the country, but in the meantime, more vaccines will be imported from Botswana.
What we are going to have to do is embark upon a massive vaccination program, which means in the short term we're going to have to use BVI, Botswana Vaccine Institute. We have to import more vaccines there, and we're going to have to have a consistent river of vaccines coming in from Botswana. But ultimately the goal that in a year or two we'll be producing our own here in South Africa. The ARC is in the final stages of a vaccine that will deal with SAT1, 2 and 3 strains of foot and mouth disease. And we can then have our own vaccine to be able to do that.
CEO of the Red Meat Producers Association, Friki Mare, says current vaccinations are simply not keeping up with outbreaks and that farmers are scared.
Currently, as we speak, the situation is bad. There's I want to say, almost new outbreaks on primary farms emerging, as well as commercial farms and informal settlements daily. Vaccination do not keep up with the outbreaks. And our members are really scared. If FMD is detected on your property, you are basically economically being cut off. You can't move your animals, you cannot do anything. You don't have a source of income. So the producers are really scared to get infected as they do not know the road ahead.
Minister Steenhuisen says there's a desire to eventually reach a foot and mouth free status without vaccination, just like Brazil, which has now achieved this. He says while this is desirable, it will need consultation with stakeholders in the sector.
There are implications of vaccine. For instance, it affects the fifth quarter, which is obviously very important for South African food security. A lot of our poorer households rely on the fifth quarter to provide food for them and their families. And under the current rules, if you have an FMD situation, you have to abandon the fifth quarter. So there's implications there, although there is some new research that's emerged which demonstrates that you can safely treat the fifth quarter. And we're busy using the ARC now to help guide us in that particular respect.
But in the meantime, farmers say vaccinations are needed and fast.
We urgently need now vaccines. It doesn't look like Botswana Vaccine Institute, where we are currently importing from, can produce enough. And we will have to look at other suppliers so that we can, as fast as possible, vaccinate all the affected areas, all the farms. You should, I want to say, be in a position to vaccinate faster than the spread of the disease. And then together with that, for the current crisis, we immediately need to look at regulations that prohibits farmers in the disease management areas or farmers that are under quarantine, that prohibits them to move their animals. I understand that you just cannot move those animals freely, but we will have to come up with solutions once those animals have been vaccinated and stood on the farm, let's say 28 days after vaccination, that there's markets opened up for them so that those farmers can receive income. We must remember in KwaZulu-Natal, the DMA was increased at the end of February, if I remember correctly. Up to today, a lot of those farmers still don't have market access. They didn't receive any income since the end of February, which is quite a problem.
As of July, South Africa recorded a total of 270 foot and mouth outbreaks across 5 provinces. Of these, 249 outbreaks remain unresolved, while 21 have been declared resolved. Diabo Seto, SABC News, Johannesburg.